Hi everyone, welcome to Hardboiled English Live. I'm your host, Paul Duke, your English instructor, tutor, coach, and language detective. On this show, I talk about English, answer your questions, and help you solve your English mysteries right here, live. Welcome, welcome, welcome. To get started, I'd like you to say hello in the comment thread and tell us what country you're in. We really like to see where everyone is. We've got viewers from all over the world joining us. The format of this show is quite simple. You ask me questions and I do my best to answer them. If I can't, I assure you I'll do the research and get back to you at a future show. There's another way to ask questions. You can also contact me on social media at Hardboiled English and send me your questions before the show. And that's really helpful if you, for example, can't attend the show live. For those of you who don't know me, I'm also the creator and host of the Hardboiled English YouTube channel. And on that channel, you can find the recordings of every week's live show. So if you missed it, you can see the whole show, the full 1 hour show. And you can also see my flagship series, which is called English Weirdness. And English Weirdness is an in-depth exploration of some problematic features of English grammar. It involves animation, dramatization, music, graphics, all kinds of stuff. It's a really good series and I'm very proud of it. And by the way, I make it with my students. Everyone involved is an English student. So welcome to the show, everybody. I'd like to say hello to Tirath from Nepal. Nadim Salongi. I don't know where you are, Nadim, but I think you might be in Bangladesh. We've got Louisa joining us from Brazil. As always, a pleasure to see you, Louisa. Nadim's in Pakistan. Welcome to the show. We've got Roni from Bangladesh. Live show regular Chris Derbovin from Belgium. Welcome to the show. And we've got Wako from Japan. Welcome, 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 everybody. Hopefully you're all doing well. Here in Canada, at the Hardboiled English studio in Vancouver, we're experiencing something of a heat wave. So from time to time, I may need to cool myself off, either with a refreshing beverage or a little bit of fanning to keep my head from shining too much. Don't want to break the screen. We've got a good show tonight. We're going to explore a few things here. We've also got AK Azad joining us. AK, tell me where you are. I'd like to know what country you're in. Will you talk about regarding what is she so angry for what? AK, I can't answer that question because it's not really a question. I'm going to need you to clarify that for me. Try to put your idea into a simple, clear question that we can focus on. I see kind of 3 questions mixed in there. We've got Ricardo joining us from Argentina. Welcome to the show, Ricardo. Nadim's asking the difference between must and have to. Okay, good. AK's in Bangladesh. Okay, great. Welcome to the show. It's nice to know that we've got so many fans in Bangladesh. It's really interesting. It's one of the most represented countries on our show among our guests. So really nice to see you guys. Hopefully you're all doing well. Thought I saw something in the news about Bangladesh that there was a disaster of some kind in a factory. So I'm really sorry to hear about that, guys. Hopefully everyone in your family and all your friends are okay. Ricardo says, thank you so much for all your amazing explanations always. Thank you for saying that, Ricardo. I'm glad to be helpful to you on your learning experience. We have Lenora joining us. Lenora is in the Philippines, I believe. Welcome to the show, Lenora. Thank you for joining us. We're just getting started, guys. So if you're just joining the show, please type in say hello and tell us what country you're in. That's really fun to know. So far, we've got a whole bunch of countries, people joining us. Now, I've got a few questions lined up already. People have sent me some questions through the week on social media at Hardboiled English. So I'm going to get to those, and we're going to have our vocabulary word of the day. And then we'll open the show for your questions specifically, like Nadim. So we'll come back to Nadim's question shortly, okay? AK says your pronunciation is superb. I of it very much. Thank you very much. That's kind of you to say. Hopefully, my pronunciation serves as a model for you guys. That's one thing you can get from watching a show like this, is not only the explanations we do on the board, but just listening to a speaker of English. Sometimes that can be helpful. Someone who's not speaking in a movie or not singing lyrics in a song, for example. Well, guys, let's get to it. Let's go to our vocabulary of the day. And this is a segment I like to get to once a week. And it's because a lot of my students struggle with adjectives. And what they do is they use the adjective good far too much. Oh, teacher, the movie was good. Oh, your lesson was good. Oh, my country is good. Your country is good. Everything's good. Good is a really simple word. It's not that useful. It doesn't contain a lot of expression power. Say hello to Satoru Kaneko from Taiwan. So today's word is, and these are words to use instead of good. Okay? So we're always going to look at adjectives that we can use instead of good. And today's word of the day is essential. Essential. Okay, this is an adjective that means absolutely necessary, extremely important, of, relating to, or constituting essence. What is essence? Essence is the noun form of essential. Now, we use this word a lot. Oh, my jacket is essential, right? My glasses are essential. The true meaning of this is related to this idea of essence. In ancient time, the idea of essence meant life power. So something that contained essence had the power of life or death, the opposite. So something that's essential really means, at the deepest level, absolutely necessary, which means without it, it's lights out. So, for example, my example sentence is, water is essential. Right? Without water, it's lights out for anyone. We can't last very long without water, especially in this heat. As I said, Canada right now is very hot. So for those of you who think Canada is a place of snow and ice, some parts of it are in the winter, but now it's summer. There's no snow and ice anywhere. I'm melting. Anyways, essence. Water is essential. If you don't have water, it's game over. Lights out. Kaput. Death. So it truly means essential. Now, you don't have to use it with things that mean life or death. Water is essential. Food is essential. My jacket's not essential. It's important to me, but it's not essential. If I don't have a jacket, I'm not going to die. If I don't have water, eventually I will. So the real meaning of essential really relates to life power, essence, something that keeps something alive, or is totally necessary for that thing to exist. I'll give you another example. The camera is essential for the show. Okay? This live show that I broadcast every week requires a camera. If I don't have a camera, you people can't see me. And if you can't see me, we have no show. It would be something else. It might be a podcast or a radio show. So in terms of putting this show on, the camera is absolutely necessary. It's essence. It's essential for the show. So what I want you guys to do is try using this word in a sentence. So type your sentence example in the comment thread and let's see how you do. Tira says, this show has been the essential part of our life. Now see, that because essential really means life or death, when talking about this show as being essential, it's what we call exaggeration. Of course, you would survive without this show. But by using essential in that way, it shows your passion for this show. It shows that you care about it a lot. So Chris says, it's essential to make a plan or schedule before you can go live. Absolutely. If you don't have a plan or a schedule, the whole thing can be very unorganized, or you can forget something. Oh, I have no pens. Oh, the lights are broken. There's a lot of preparation. Now, Nadim is saying necessary is the same. Now, if you look closely here, it says absolutely necessary. Let me put it this way. Essential is even stronger than necessary. Necessary is subjective. It means you decide what's necessary and what's not. But its essence, essential is even stronger. Essential means without it, you stop existing. Without water, humans stop existing. Without food, humans stop existing. Without a camera, my show stops existing. Without the internet, the show stops existing, and I would never get to know you guys. I would never meet you, and you would never meet me. So essential really means absolutely. Like without it, there's no chance. AK says oxygen is essential for us. Very nice. Lenora says the law is essential in governing a country. Verb to be is essential in the English language, says Ricardo. Yes, very, very nice. Very well done, guys. Roni says it is essential to communicate in English. Very nice. Anyone else have a nice sentence you want to share? Louisa says, I am a photographer and my camera is essential for my work. Absolutely. If a photographer doesn't have a camera, guess what? You're not a photographer. You're something else. You're just a person who looks at stuff, right? So a camera is absolutely essential. It's absolutely necessary. It's part of the definition of a photographer. Just like my camera and the internet is part of the definition of a live stream. Abir says English is an essential language for us. Yes, it has become that. Very good. If you're just joining our show, guys, please say hello and tell us where you're from. I'd like to get to know everyone a little bit. AK says food is essential for us. Absolutely. It's absolutely necessary. Absolute means yes or no, right? With it, you survive. No food, you don't survive. Food is essential for us. Water is essential for us. Oxygen is essential for our survival. Cameras are not essential for our survival, but they're essential for a photographer to be a photographer. They're essential for a live streamer like me to live stream. Without a camera, Louisa would survive, I would survive, but she wouldn't have a job as a photographer, and I wouldn't have this opportunity to stream to you guys. Mukesh is joining us from Nepal. Hi, Mukesh. Welcome to the show. It's great to see you all joining us today. Very nice. Anyone else want to try a sentence? Okay. I'm going to just clear the board and we'll get to some breakdowns. Abir says, hello, sir. After a long time, I attend your class. Thank you for joining us, Abir. Great to see you. Can we clear this, baby? There we go. We have Rocio Peña joining us from Mexico. Rocio says, "Hi, I'm from Mexico. The vaccine is essential in this moment." I have a feeling, Rocio, that "in this moment" is a translation from Spanish. In English, we typically don't say "in this moment." Instead, we might say "now." The vaccine is essential now. And in fact, if you say the vaccine is essential, that means it's always essential. Simple present means always true, so you don't even need to say "in this moment." But if you want to, you can say "now," or you can say "at this moment," right? Abir says, "Teacher Paul's class is very essential for us all." Very nice. Thank you, Abir. That's very kind. Okay, guys, I'm going to get to our first question. This was sent to me earlier in the week on social media. And where's the first one? Is it wrong to say your... Yeah, this is good. This is a good question, guys. Is it wrong to say your guys' homework? Or your guys' homework isn't done? Yeah, AK, what I'm using to clean the board is a product called Expo Whiteboard Care. It's the only thing I have found to clear the whiteboard, yet right after you clear it, you can write on it. It takes about 5 seconds to dry, especially in this heat. But probably in your country, it's going to dry nice and quickly too. It's a great product. You can get it online. They should sponsor my show because I'm always promoting it. But it's a great product. Expo Whiteboard Care. Okay, back to the sentence, guys. Let's take a look at this. This is a problem of possessiveness. So we have your guys' homework isn't done. Now, they have this idea in this sentence that we need possessive because the guys own the homework. The guys possess the homework. This sounds like a teacher talking to his class or her class. Hey, your guys' homework isn't done. That's not good. Sounds like a strict teacher. The problem is this. They're using a plural word, guys. That's more than one. That's a plural noun. And then they're adding possession to it. So there's two problems here. One, we have plural and s. Now that is possible. The other problem is we already have a possessive here. Your is a possessive. If I say your homework, that's expressing that you own the homework. You possess the homework. Your teacher, your car, your pen, you own it, right? Or it belongs to you. So we have a possessive here. We don't need one here. That's two possessives. You only need one. One is better than two in all cases with English. So one possessive, and then we have a plural noun, and then we have the noun, homework. There's another problem with this. If you say this to somebody, like a teacher to their class, hey, your guys' homework isn't done. Who's listening? Well, the students are listening to the teacher, right? We're in the same room together. Okay? Or you guys are on the other end of the internet. If I say, your guys' homework isn't done, you know you're plural, right? You know you're plural. And you know who I'm talking to. So we don't actually need these words at all. We don't need them. Plus, they're causing us problems with this double possessive. Instead, the teacher just has to talk to the group and say, your homework isn't done. Your homework. The listener, the group of listeners is already plural. And one look around the room and they can see that clearly. Your homework isn't done, guys. You could put it at the end. You could put a comma. You could put it at the end just for emphasis, but you don't need to put it here. Your guys' homework? No, your homework. Now, the Americans, people in the USA, solve this problem by saying, sometimes they'll say you all, or in slang, they'll say y'all to talk to a group that's plural. But in fact, even that is not necessary because the group knows it's plural. So all you have to do is say your homework isn't done. Your is whoever's listening. It could be a single person or a plural. And the group knows they're plural. So you don't need to address them like that. So the best way to say this would be, hey guys, your homework isn't done. Or just, your homework isn't done. But you could also put guys at the end. Okay? So hopefully that clarifies that. Your guys is, but you know what? This is a really common error. People say this all the time. Hey, your guys' cars are awesome. Okay. So Satoru says, you use a kind of spray. It's Expo Whiteboard Care. Great product. Watch what happens, guys. I can clear the board. Let's compare. Maybe I should get sponsorship for this. If I use a typical brush, all I do is smudge it. It just smudges the... But this actually removes the ink. And it dries almost instantly. I'm going to contact that company and get sponsorship. Okay. Let's go to our second question. This is a very, very important topic, so I'm going to take a few minutes to explain this. This relates to a lot of things we probably don't have time for today, but it's an important question to ask, and it was asked of me this week. This person said, really simply, teacher, what is a gerund? Okay, Ricardo's asking a question that might be answered here. Art museum or museum of art. So hang on a second, Ricardo. It might be involved with this. What is a gerund? A gerund is a very, very common part of speech. It's a kind of word. And how do we make it? We make it by taking a verb and adding ing, right? Now, I'll give you an example, like swim. Swim is a verb. If we add ing, we get swimming. That's a gerund. It's not a verb anymore. We'll come back to that. We might say something like this. I am swimming. So this is a verb tense called present progressive or present continuous. Depends on your textbook. That is a verb form. However, look closely. We have the verb plus ing and we have a be verb. Now it's a verb expression. I am swimming. Okay? That is the only time that this is a verb in progressive form. That's the only time. If you don't have the be verb, that is no longer a verb. Now it's a gerund. Okay, that's the first thing. That's how we make a gerund. That's the form. What the hell does it mean? Next question. A gerund, once you take a verb and you put ing on it, it becomes a gerund. That's just the name of it. It now is a noun. Can you see that? It's a noun. Gerunds are nouns. Okay? You take a verb, put ing, now it's a gerund, which is a verb, which is no longer a verb, it's a noun. So, what is a gerund? A gerund is a noun made from a verb. Now, why do you want to do that? Well, once something is a noun, you can do different things with it. Let's go back to the typical sentence structure. We have a subject, we have a verb, and after the verb, we could have several things. We could have a complement, like an adjective. We could also have a phrase or even another clause. But often we have an object. And objects are usually nouns, just like subjects are usually nouns. And verbs are verbs. Well, if a gerund is a noun, guess what? Now it can do the job of a noun, and it can go in either of those positions, subject or object. It can go here, or it can go here. Pretty cool, huh? Now you can take a verb idea and use it as a noun idea. That's a gerund. So let's look at some examples. You see the cloth, microfiber cloth with a bit of that spray on it becomes a much more effective brush. Look at that. Beautiful. Okay, subject, verb, object. Let's take a verb like swim, put ing on it, so it's a gerund. Now it's a noun. Let's make it our subject. Swimming is fun. Okay, so this is not an object. This is an adjective. Okay. Swimming is fun. Now, the verb swim expresses an action. Okay? Verbs express actions. Nouns don't express actions. They express objects, people, or ideas. Concepts like happiness, success, those are concepts, but they're nouns. So is a gerund, because this is no longer an action, it's the name of the activity. For example, the Olympics are coming, the Tokyo Olympics, and the names of the sports are usually gerunds, because they don't express the action of to swim, they express the name of the activity. What do you call that sport? It's called swimming. And swimming is a noun. Swimming is fun. We can also put this in the object position, like she loves swimming. That's a gerund. She loves that thing, because you have to love something, right? You have to love objects. I love pens. I love that spray, right? Don't use it as hairspray, people. That's really dangerous. Probably burn your hair off. Yeah, I love spraying. So we love objects or people, okay? Once you make a gerund, you can love that thing, right? So let's go back to what Ricardo's asking. Ricardo's asking about art museum. Now, this isn't directly related. Art museum or museum of art. Now, your question is, which one should you use? Well, they're both fine, right? But this is great because it's 2 words. That's 3 words. In English, we want to reduce the number of words. 2 words are better than 3. English wants to be concise. People who speak English from US, Canada, or Britain, or Australia, it's a reserved culture. It's less outgoing, say, than Latin culture in South America, which is very outgoing. Latin literature involves long sentences and lots of expression. The British people, where this language came from, they're a bit reserved. I always use the example of James Bond. He doesn't talk like he's been drinking 10 coffees. He says 1 or 2 words. So remember that. 2 words are better than 3. But what do we have here? We have a noun plus a noun. Now, I've talked about this many times on this show, and I've also got a whole video about it on my channel, Hard Boiled English on YouTube. And you can find how we use nouns as adjectives. And just look around how common this is. Coffee, cup. Coffee's a noun, cup's a noun. Whiteboard, pen. Or whiteboard, spray. Whiteboard is a noun, spray is a noun. Cell is a noun, phone is a noun. Backpack, computer, mouse. I don't know, these are endless. Noun plus noun is very common in English, and the first noun acts like an adjective, right? Art is a noun, museum's a noun, But if I just say museum, you're going to say, what kind? What type? Well, using a noun as an adjective tells us what type of something, right? So, if that's true, Ricardo, if that's true, guess what we can do with gerunds? Because gerunds are nouns. So we can also use them as adjectives, like this. It was an interesting lesson, I hope. Lesson's a noun. Interesting is a gerund, which is a noun. Exciting movie. Fascinating topic. Confusing grammar. If we can use a noun plus noun as an adjective in a noun, we can use a gerund as an adjective. But then we don't call it a gerund, we call it a participle adjective. But we're allowed to turn it into a participle adjective because gerunds can be nouns. Okay? Well, the answer is both. AK, like I just said, when you use the gerund as an adjective, it's a gerund, but it's acting as an adjective. It's functioning as an adjective. It's functioning as an adjective by being a noun. We can use nouns as adjectives. Okay? I can't find some examples. You know, like we have water cup. Water is a noun. Tells us what type of cup it is. Just looking around for some examples. They're everywhere. Glasses. Eye is a noun. So if you're asking me if swimming is a noun or adjective, swimming is a gerund, which can be a noun, which acts like an adjective. It describes pool. It tells us what type of pool. Okay? We've got a whole bunch of new viewers joining us. We've got Maria Fernanda Menda. Hello, Maria Fernanda. Muffer. We have Isaac joining us. Isaac, where are you calling from? Or where are you watching from? Tell us the country you're in, guys. We have Facebook user who says lost. We have JNQR, Paula, welcome to the show. We have Ken. Yeah, Ken's offering police officer. Police is a noun, officer's a noun. AK is saying waiting train, walking stick. Interesting topic, yeah. So if gerunds are nouns, we can use them as nouns in the subject or object, but we can also use them as adjectives. Interesting lesson. What was that one? Walking stick, right? Interesting topic. Swimming pool. So if this is still a bit confusing for you, Mark Zeggers, hello from Toronto. Welcome to the show, Mark. Great to see you again. I gotta say, Mark, it's wonderful that you joined this show. I just love it. We have Juan Unknown. Juan Unknown. That's a hell of a name, guys. Hell of a name. Okay, but he's got a good question. Juan Unknown, what country are you from? This is a free live show, but it costs you. It costs you a price. That price is information. I want to know what country you're from. So whenever you join the show, guys, please tell me what country you're from. On a personal level, it makes me very proud and very touched to know that I'm connecting with so many people from so many countries. I really like it. So it's wonderful if you tell me that. Okay, Juan Unknown is asking an important question. Juan's from Argentina. Okay, great. Now, Ricardo is also saying, I watched your video about noun as adjective and was amazing. Thank you. But I had this doubt because I heard both art museum and museum of art. Yeah, and Ricardo, in that video, we explain in more depth because there's more time and we have the advantage of animated graphics and context from the little drama. Some combinations of noun plus noun are reversible. Art museum, museum of art. That is one of them. Some of them don't quite do that. And it's usually when we have an abstract concept. For example, like I can't think of an example right now. Happiness. There was one with happiness. Let me get back to you, Ricardo, or just review that video because there's lots of examples in that. But yeah, some of them can reverse. So art museum is fine. One of the reasons is art and museum are both concrete objects, concrete nouns. They're not abstract. Sometimes when we have abstract nouns like happiness or success, those abstract nouns don't reverse, right? They start to sound possessive, and we don't want possessive. And by the way, guys, if you use noun plus noun, or let's say like rap music, this noun, because it's an adjective, it's acting as an adjective, it can never be plural. It can never have an S on it. You can never say rap's music or swimming's pool. When you do that, it starts to sound like a possessive. Well, swimming doesn't own that pool, so that's stupid. Rap doesn't own the music, right? So possessive doesn't work. So keep those S's out of there when you're using a noun plus noun. We don't want to say coffee's cup because that sounds like apostrophe S. It sounds like it's a possessive. Coffee doesn't own that cup. I do, right? So that's one thing to watch out for when you use nouns as adjectives. And the other common example is a 2-year-old child. Okay, child is a noun, old is an adjective, year is a noun, and 2 can be a noun. It can also be an adjective. And we need to connect these with hyphens to make the whole thing into an adjective. But if this is an adjective, it cannot have plural. We can't say 2 years old child. It's 2-year-old child. Okay, because we can't have plurals as adjectives. If I say blue pen, blue's an adjective. I would never say blues pen. Adjectives aren't plural. Okay, so let's just scroll back because I think I've missed something. Can we go back to AK's question? AK had a question really early, just when we started. It's great to see so many familiar faces with us tonight and lots of new faces. I don't really see any faces. That would be nice, but all I see is your name, so that doesn't make sense. We have Leon Santiago joining us. Leon Santiago from where? Where are you from, Leon? Grace Chow's joining us. Grace from Hong Kong. Wow. Hi, Grace. Nice to see you. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, who else? Where's that question? Yes. There was one even before that. Okay, we'll do have to and must first. So, yeah, can you write that down for me just so we can get back to it later and keep scrolling? Okay, let's look at have to and must. These are a category of word called modals. Modals come before a verb, and the verb should be in base form. So let's go back to swim. Okay, that's the verb we were using earlier. And modals are words like have to, must, should, could, can, ought to, had better. And some of them are single words, but you can see some of them are phrases made of 2 words. Have to and must. And each one of these adjusts the meaning of the verb a little bit. Because if I just say, I swim, it tells you something. It tells you that's my habit. But if I say, I should swim, that makes the verb take on a different meaning. It means it's a good idea if I swim. I'll have good results. It's not necessary, but it's a good idea. It's good advice. Can swim, I can swim, means I have the ability to. That's all can expresses. It expresses ability. So what do you need to have ability to swim? Well, you need a pool, or you need an ocean or lake or river. You need water. And you need some knowledge of swimming technique. But if you have those things, and assuming you have arms and legs, which is a nice bonus, you can swim. Doesn't mean you're good. It doesn't mean it's necessary. It means you have the ability. That's it. Could is from the conditional. I could swim if I had a pool. But I don't have a pool, so I can't swim. Ought to and had better are much like should, which mean it's a good idea if you do it. So let's look at have to and must. They express a very high level of necessity or obligation, right? I must pay my taxes. That's not just a good idea, and I'm not just expressing my ability. It's a duty in my country, okay? If I don't pay the taxes, I have big problems with my government, okay? I must pay my taxes. I'll have very negative results if I don't. Of course, I won't die, but I'll get in big trouble. I have to pay my taxes. Now that's equally strong. That expresses a high degree of obligation or duty. But I think have to gives us a little bit of freedom. So let me generalize. Generally, have to and must are the same. But have to can also be subjective, which means you can decide if you have to. For example, every Friday night, I have to stream this live show. What happens if I don't? Will I die? No. Will I get in trouble with the government? No. You guys might be disappointed. That's for sure. I hope. I'll be disappointed or frustrated. So I have to stream this show, in my opinion. That's my subjective opinion. I believe I have a strong responsibility to stream my show every Friday because some of you are waiting for it. Some of you even put aside time. Or some of you stay awake late at night or wake up early in the morning to watch my show. And I really, really appreciate that. So I don't want to disappoint you. So if you ask me, I say, I have to stream. I don't care if I'm hot. I'm boiling right now. It's really uncomfortable in my home. And this is a home studio. So I say, I have to stream. I don't want to let my audience down. So have to gives us a little bit of room to put our opinion. So we have to because we believe we have to. Must is a little stronger, just in the sense that usually it's an outside force that tells us we must do something. Okay, like the government or the law or some very, very important sense of responsibility, right? Like I must eat, right? It's essential that I eat. What is she so angry? Yeah, okay. Great, okay, so hopefully that clears up have to and must. Back to the spray, clear the board. Did I miss anyone who's joined the show? So we have a question here about what is she so angry? Okay, this is not subject, verb, object sequence anymore. This is question order with a be verb. So to make a question with a be verb, we switch We invert subject and verb. And here we have the adjective. What do we have down here? About and for. Who knows what kind of words those are? Are they a noun or are they a verb? Please type it in. Maybe Tirath knows. What kind of word is for? What kind of part of speech? What kind of part of speech is about? Who knows? Meanwhile, I'm going to get a better red pen. Yes, Ricardo says prepositions. Great. These are prepositions. Look at that. It's so hot here, my pens are drying up. Okay, prepositions. Let me give you a little tip, guys, because I know prepositions are tricky. Look closely at the word preposition. It's made of two parts, pre and position. What does pre mean? It's a prefix. What does pre mean? Juan, I'm coming back to you, don't worry. Pre means before, right? Position means position in the sentence. Preposition, well, position of what? Tirath has the right answer. Preposition of noun. Prepositions always come before nouns. That is what they do. That's all they do. Prepositions connect nouns. They connect nouns to other nouns like pen, in, hand. Because without a preposition, I just have two nouns, pen, hand. We have no idea of the relationship in space. Pen in hand, oh, now I can see the picture. They can connect to verbs and other words in the sentence, but they always connect nouns, and they always come before nouns. And each one of them has a little bit of connective meaning. What are we expressing? What meaning are we connecting to this? Why is she so angry? Now, sometimes there's choices. Sometimes there's no choice. Sometimes there's only one preposition that works. Here, we should use preposition about, because about really means a circle. I think we've talked about this before. A circle around a topic. In fact, in British culture, they use the word about instead of around, right? They might say, I'm walking about the park, or the Olympic runners are running about the track. So about means to make a circle around a topic. So what are we talking about today? This show is about English. It goes around English. It looks at English all around. So about a topic. What is she so angry about? So we would put topic here, right? But remember, this is a question. We don't know the topic. We're asking about the topic. What topic is she so angry about? Right? So because we don't know, the topic is really the what that we're asking about. What about for? When we use for plus noun, we use it to connect reasons. I'll give you an example. This pen is for the board. For writing. This microphone is for recording or for the audio. That's why it exists. That's the purpose. So when you connect for, you're connecting purpose or reason. So could we say, what reason is she so angry for? What purpose is she so angry for? Like, why? Yeah, we could. It's possible, right? It is possible to be angry for a reason. So remember, this is a question, so the sentence would end here or here. What is she so angry for? That's asking, why is she so angry? Now, you could just say that. You could just say, why is she so angry? About is asking for the topic. What topic is she so angry about? So which one's correct? They both are. They just have different meanings. Okay? Okay, I'm going to come back to the question about infinitives. Yeah. And this is from Juan Unknown. Now, Juan, I'm going to remind you, and I'm sorry I got into a different topic. When you're talking about gerunds, as we just were, usually in that same direction, we end up talking about infinitive verbs because they have a kind of relationship. And the relationship is to the verb. There's a whole bunch of verbs. Sorry, guys. Let's go back to the basic structure. Subject, verb, object. So we said we can put nouns here or gerunds, put a verb here, and put the object here. And the object can be nouns or gerunds. And depending on the verb, some verbs must be followed by a gerund. Some verbs must be followed by an infinitive. Some verbs can be followed by both with a different meaning. Some verbs can be followed by both with the same meaning. Which ones? There's a kind of master list and there's no logic or pattern to it, really. You just have to learn it and memorize it. Now, if you want a document with that list, I can certainly prepare one. So email me. Can we put my email up on the screen? Email me if you want a master list of verbs that work with infinitives or gerunds. Now, the answer to your question is about when can we use infinitives as, what was it? As nouns or as subjects? As a noun. Okay, so infinitives, just to remind you, that's made of to plus verb base form. Okay, for example, to swim. Now, infinitives can be used after a verb, like she likes to swim. By the way, in English, we cannot do this. You cannot have base form verb and base form verb. Likes swim. She wants buy. She needs study. Doesn't work. Can't have two verbs like that. So one of them has to change. That's why we have the infinitive. The infinitive verb, unlike a gerund, which expresses the name of the activity, the infinitive verb expresses the action. She likes the action to swim. She likes to do that thing, to do. She likes to do that action. Okay. It's an action she likes. And we could also say swimming, because when we like something, we can like actions. We can also like objects, right? We can like we can like to do things, and we can like the names of activities. I like to swim. I like to do that action. I like to, she likes swimming. Maybe that means she likes to watch swimming in the Olympics, right? So the question is, can we put that in the subject position as a noun, like this? To swim is nice, right? Can we use that as a noun, which means in the subject position or object position? Well, the answer is yes. You can. It's allowed. It's legal, linguistically speaking. I would say this, though. I would say if you use that, you sound like you're a 500-year-old person from the Shakespeare period, from medieval England. To swim is essential. To swim is divine. In the old times of English, using an infinitive as a subject was common. It's not common now. In fact, 99% of the time, nobody would say that. It sounds really strange. It sounds like you're trying to sound really old-style English, like Shakespeare period. There's famous lines from, I can't remember the Shakespearean play, but they're all built on the infinitive. Well, Hamlet. Hamlet famously holds up a skull and says, to be or not to be, right? That's the infinitive verb in the Shakespeare play. That's really Old English style. Very, 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 very seldom, not often, do we use infinitive verb as a subject or object, except like this, verb and then infinitive. Is it possible? Yeah, it's possible. But don't do it. You'll sound really unnatural. And if you do it, it sounds like you're quoting Shakespeare or quoting old style English and trying to be funny. You might see it. Oh, there it is. Tira says to err is human. Yes, to err is the verb of to make an error. Okay. So was it Juan that asked that question? Yeah, Juan, don't do it. Okay. If your goal is to sound natural with your English, keep the infinitives away from the subject position because it doesn't sound natural, man. Sounds pretty weird. Use nouns, she, the show, my spray. Use nouns or use gerunds. Watching the show is fun. Spraying the board is fun, right? Use gerunds. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Juan, your first language is Spanish. I find a lot of my Spanish students struggle or resist using gerunds. Okay? Here's the other thing you can't do in English. Okay? Cook is my hobby. Or swim is my hobby. Or something like write emails. Write emails makes me crazy. Okay. If you start a sentence like this with a base form verb, cook, swim, write, subject should be a noun or a gerund. We just talked about that, right? If you start the sentence with a verb, there's only one grammar structure in English that does that. It's the imperative. And the imperative is used to give orders or instructions. If you add please, think of the military general who says, stand up. Stand is a verb. Sit down. Shut up, if you want to be angry and rude. Or march. Or the boss that says, complete that report. Okay? Now, teachers give instructions using that form, the imperative form. But we add please. Please open your books. So the verb comes first, so you know what to do. That's what a good instruction does. So if there's any teachers out there, that's a little tip for you. Always start your sentences with the verb. Use imperative, but start with please, because your students you should be polite to them, but they also want to know what to do. When a student comes into your classroom and sits down, the first thing they want to know is, what should I do, teacher? What should I do? So tell them what to do by starting the sentence with the verb. Hi guys, good morning. Please open your books. Please get out your essays. Whatever, start with the verb. However, these sentences they're not trying to be imperative. These are not instructions. These are not orders. The person who writes a sentence is trying to make a simple statement. Cook is my hobby. Swim is my hobby. They're not telling me to do that action. So they should not be starting with the verb. And I think this is a problem for my Spanish speakers and my Portuguese speakers, because it happens often with my students from those language groups. Cooking. Now it's a gerund. Perfect subject. Cooking is my hobby. Swimming is my hobby. Writing emails makes me crazy. Use the gerund as a subject. Don't use a base form verb. Okay? Okay, Di Perez. Hi, Di, wherever you're from. Can you tell me where you're from, by the way? Di is asking a good question along these lines. Let me just write it up, Dai. Is it possible to say to living? What are some advantages to living? Okay. Remember, this is a question. And so when we have a question, we often restructure things. Now, we have here the preposition to, and it's a problem because I just told you earlier that prepositions come right before nouns or gerunds. And the gerund here is a noun. But it also appears in the infinitive verb, right? Try to remember this. When that word is part of the infinitive verb, like to swim, it's a verb. It's no longer a preposition. It's part of the infinitive verb. Okay. So if you have to here, you might want to put live, but it might be a feeling you have. Don't do it. And the reason is this. This preposition is not part of infinitive verb, to live. It's a preposition, and it wants a gerund. Advantages to living. Advantages to this spray. Advantages is a noun that usually works with that preposition. What are the advantages to studying English? What are the advantages to this pen? So after this to, we want a noun or a gerund, okay? Yeah, so your question is, what are some advantages to living in a houseboat? It's perfectly fine. It's totally correct. Because that is not asking for, we don't want an infinitive verb there, okay? Yeah. Okay, guys. Thank you for all your great questions. I see someone saying, hello, good evening, I'm from Japan, but your name is in kanji, so I don't know how to say it. Perhaps my engineer can translate for me. Oh, Dai's from Venezuela. Wonderful. Yeah. So, guys, we're going to wrap up in a moment, but I've got a long list of thank yous here. So, as we close our show, we went a little over time today. I'm going to say hello to, thank you and goodbye to Tireth from Nepal, Nadeem from Pakistan, Louisa from Brazil, Roni from Bangladesh, Chris from Belgium, Wako from Japan, AK from Bangladesh, Ricardo from Argentina, I think. Lenora from Philippines, Satoru from Japan, but in Taiwan. Betty, is that Bargain Betty? Bargain Betty's from the moon. She lives on the moon. Abir from Bangladesh, Mukesh from Nepal, Rocio from Mexico, Maria Fernanda from Venezuela, living in Canada now. Isaac, I don't know. Abu, I don't know. JNQR, Paula from Brazil. Ken, I'm not sure where you're from, Ken, but I have a feeling you might be Ken from Singapore. Mark Z from Toronto. Thanks as always, old buddy. Juan from Argentina. My old and dear friend Grace from Hong Kong. So nice to see you on the screen today, Grace. Thank you for joining the show. Lenora is from, I don't know. Lenora, I'm sorry, I don't remember where you're from. Philippines, is that the same Lenora? Ryushu from Japan. Dai is from Venezuela, but in Ecuador at the moment. And Paula, JNQR, you had a question we'll get to next week, okay? Maybe you could send that to me privately so I have a record, because after the show, the comments vanish. We have Aziz from Saudi Arabia. PK from Bangladesh. And Yoshishige, thank you, Yoshishige from Japan. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining my live show this week. As you may or may not know, we broadcast every Friday, 7 p.m. PDT, which is Pacific Daylight Time or Pacific Standard Time. That's the west coast of North America. So calculate so you don't miss out. See you next week, I hope. Don't forget, I also host a weekly conversation cafe, which is a free event on Zoom, but you'll need to go to my Facebook page and register. It's free, but you need to sign up so I know who's coming. So find me on Facebook, Paul Duke or Hardboiled English, and sign up for the Conversation Cafe. That's not a lesson like this. It's not me explaining things. It's you guys talking, so you get a chance to practice. Okay, so thank you for joining me tonight, guys. Hopefully, wherever you are, you're staying safe. You're staying cool. I hope. If not, let's work on that. I'll see you next week, guys. Until then, stay cool.